Hey everyone, welcome to my vlog channel. One of my subs last week, I think it was Margot, mentioned about me doing a video with some pros and cons of moving south after having lived in the north. So I'd written out some notes during the week and I thought, okay, this is a doable video. Um, So let me start by one of the big pros for me is the weather. Quite obviously. Just last week I was wearing a pair of shorts. Even if it was only for one day, I was able to wear a pair of shorts. Now you know darn well I wouldn't be wearing a pair of shorts until maybe May in Pennsylvania. So yeah, so South Carolina weather, even if it can drive you crazy with being cold in the morning and hot in the afternoon, is still way more doable than 4 months of cold, sometimes 5 months of cold in Pennsylvania. Winter never wants to leave Pennsylvania. I don't know why, but it is true. And I mean, there's been several years where, month of May, you have a fluky snowstorm, onion snow, temperatures like in the 20s, like, what? Go away already. Um, Winter down here is much shorter than in PA. That doesn't mean that my fibro don't bother me just because it's in a shorter period. For the most part, I'm pretty good. But when the temperature gets down in the 30s or a little below, I do have issues. But thankfully, those days are the exception and not the norm. So definitely a pro for me. Moving south obviously was the weather. That was definitely a big factor. Um, Another pro is that generally, depending on where you look, rents are genuinely, yeah, I'm tongue-tied tonight, I don't know. Rents are generally a little more reasonable in, say, smaller towns. The farther away from the beach area you get, which is common sense because Myrtle Beach is a big tourist area, and that's completely understandable. Just like back in PA, Jim Thorpe. Rents in that general area were crazy. But if you went a few miles away, say to Tamaqua, Lehighton, some of the rents were more reasonable. Well, pretty much the same down here. There is waiting lists for housing, but they're nowhere near as long as the waiting list from what I've heard. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't believe they're as long as waiting lists for, say, housing down the beach. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I've, heard from different people of, like some places, some towns, you might be able to get a trailer for like 800 rent or so, and compared to how a lot of the rents are, that's not bad. Um, I would like to be more in the city setting. Aner or Conway doesn't really, matter. I do love Conway. It's uh, just such a cool little town, and I don't know. I really enjoy myself whenever I'm there. It reminds me so much of Jim Thorpe. It really does. That little town I never got to fully explore, but still, I get that Jim Thorpe vibe from Conway, but with the southern flair. Um, and there's just so many cool little places down there that I haven't even actually gotten to checking out yet. So I can't wait till the weather gets better. Um, so I can go over maybe once or twice a week and go poking around in Conway, check out a few little thrift stores, this and that. Um, so yeah, all in all, you know, the rents are, I want to say, more realistic versus, like, for example, in Hazleton, prior to me leaving, I was seeing rents of like 1100, and that was just for like a one-bedroom apartment. I mean, over time they probably gone up some too to like 1300 and that. Um, yeah, I mean, those rents are around too down here. Just because it's the South, don't let that fool you. But as a whole, the farther away from the beach you are, that area that you're coming into is considered more lower income. Um, and so generally the rents are somewhat lower as well. So that in and of itself is a pro too. Now that I have the hang of when to plant what, a longer growing season down here is a pro as well. Because pretty much you can have a garden year round. I did want to do garlic over the winter, and I didn't do that, but this year is, I mean, it's another time, another winter. Um, so that is a good thing. That, you know, say come March, there's a whole variety of vegetables I can plant in March, harvest in spring, and then do summer planting. And then in the fall I can harvest that, and there is fall planting I can do into the winter. So being able to have a garden and being able to plant different crops in those different times is a big pro, definitely. Because back in Hazleton, I was only able to basically garden for maybe 4.5, maybe 5 months, and by October, depending on whether or not it was still warm or if it was already getting pretty cold, yeah, that was pretty much it. So yeah, it is nicer to have a longer um, growing season and be able to plant different vegetables at different times. So I'll be able to actually have like more of a variety. That is a pro, definitely a pro. With ties in with weather, but in and of itself, that's like fantastic. Once I got all that info off of the Clemson website, I was like, yes, now why didn't I think to look up something like this ahead of time? Would have made my gardening ventures probably better. But you know what? Sometimes you got to make your mistakes and learn, and I did. um, so yeah, definitely the weather tying in with gardening is a big, big plus, a big pro. Um, Another pro, though, too, is I'm not that far from a beach. Versus in Pennsylvania, I was about 5.5 hours away from Atlantic City or Wildwood from the beach in Jersey. Here, down in South Carolina, I'm only about 25 minutes away from the beach. So I don't have to travel hours to go to a beach when it warms up more, and you know, when it's just nicer and I really want to go walk on the beach and that. And so that's a good thing too. There's a lot of things down the beach I want to do this spring and summer. I'm excited about that. Can't wait for that. And just the fact that, you know, it's not that far from me is definitely a plus as well. So, I also want to say that on a whole, people are friendlier, more polite, and just generally nicer than a lot of northern people. And I don't mean to offend any of my friends or my family back north. No, I don't mean anything against them. I'm just saying that back in PA, there's a lot of angry, ticked off, rude, self-centered people. And I don't see as much of that down here. Even the most frazzled clerk in a convenience store will still be nice to you. And I mean, you just can't help but be in a good mood when somebody is very pleasant and says, you know, hello to you and hi and how are you doing and this and that and have a wonderful day. And I mean, just like little things that a lot of folks in PA don't say and don't do. So definitely there is a lot of nicer people. Now to get into some cons. I want to say that in the springtime, it rains a lot. This week coming up, actually, it's supposed to rain every day for about a week. And I hate that. Not that I have anything against the rain. I mean, it's just the idea that the grass and everything down here, with the soil, the water doesn't necessarily soak through the ground here as it does maybe in other areas. For whatever reason, there's parts of the yard where that water will like puddle and stay there for like a week. And then there's other parts where, yeah, you know, like in the back where my garden is, the water definitely will go right down into the soil. I don't know what the difference is, but there is like pockets of areas where for whatever reason water just doesn't go like into the soil. I don't know why. That's a con because I've always been saying I need to get myself rain boots, and yeah, I didn't get myself rain boots. So I hate walking and trying to maneuver my way around puddles, and well, that grass isn't as wet as this piece of grass here, and oh my god, it's like hopscotch. And so that, for me, is an issue with the rain. Rain a lot. Yeah, that can be annoying, especially when I've been fortunate. Even throughout the winter, there's been warm days where I'm able to hang my laundry out, so I really very seldom have to go and use a clothes dryer. So, yeah. For some reason, like in the spring, there's a lot more rain, I guess you could say, and that can be a bit of a pain in the butt after a while. Another con I want to say is, well, I won't even say it's a con, it's just something I'm experiencing down here that I didn't experience to the degree that I am down here. And that is with getting appointments for doctors and that. Usually, like back in PA, if I need an appointment, I could go through the patient portal, and usually within 24 to 48 hours, I would have someone call, give me an appointment. Down here, it takes a little bit longer. Now, as my therapist said to me, there's been more people move here, which is more people using, you know, the infrastructure, which in turn is just more people overwhelming a medical system, and I understand that. But I would sort of hope that when it comes to things of a medical nature, that would be something that should be acted upon, or at least strive to be acted upon, with a little more, you know, urgency, because you don't know that someone might not really be heading into a medical emergency, and, you know, you call them back 3 days later. I mean, you know, perhaps if the person had been seen sooner, could have, you know, staved off, God forbid, something more serious. I mean, it's one thing for a hairdresser to call you back 3 days later to give you an appointment, but if you really want to see your family doctor and you're not feeling well, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have to wait 3 days for somebody to call you back. It took almost 4 days for me to get an appointment to be scheduled for my steroid shots for my knees. And um, the doctor himself was actually surprised, that finally after 4 days somebody called me back. And I mean, his office seems pretty well staffed, so it's like, I don't know, I just think when it comes to medical situations, um, or anything medical for that matter, I think they should strive to be a little bit better with calling people back, making appointments for any type of condition. I mean, because you never know. A person might think it's something simple, and it isn't. You just never know. And so that is a con, a big one for me. Um, and I do hope it's something that down the road, that and doctors and their staff will strive to try to improve in that area a little bit. But I mean, like, as a whole, I have good doctors. I have no complaints about any of my doctors or anything. It's just that, yeah, the appointments and everything, it's frustratingly, I think, too long. Again, that's just my opinion, but I find that to be a big con for me, a big con. And another one is the DSS system down here in regards to like welfare, food stamps, medical. It is so, I want to say, different, and I don't want to say outdated, but it is so backed up. It is so behind versus how Pennsylvania's is. For example, what was good with Pennsylvania is you could download the app for food stamps and that. You could download the actual app that you could, apply for, say, medical assistance. You could also, the one app for your food stamps and everything. It was all in one app. If you're applying for LIHEAP, you could submit that through the app as well. And your caseworker, like you would have the caseworker's email. And if you needed to send documents, you could take screenshots or photos and send the documentation you needed for anything right over to your caseworker. And so it enabled them to process paperwork much more quicker and much more efficiently. Well, down here, I was horrified to find out that you don't do anything through a website, that you literally have to do everything through the mail. And I don't like the idea of doing that, because what happens when that one time you send something through and it gets lost? It puts everything, can screw everything up for you. Down here in South Carolina, basically, you have to have regular, actual print photocopies of everything. And then you have to, fold all these papers up of things. And then you've got to put them in this big old long envelope. And make sure you put enough postage on it. So, you have to go through the aggravation of getting all your paperwork together, make photocopies of it, and try and get everything to fit into a, long envelope. And then try to get it back in the mail in a reasonable amount of time. And it usually takes about a week, before you get anything from them that, they received your application, paperwork, recertification, whatever. So that really horrified me when I realized that everything is done through the mail because being able to do everything through an app and that, and with computers and everything, would just be, I think, so much easier. And it would reduce the amount of paperwork you have to contend with. And it would just make more sense to upgrade the way they do it in their system. Another thing that is a con down here for me is, I'm back in PA because of my age and just because of, you know, my income. Um, I only had to do a certification once a year. And then I want to say about 2 years ago, they actually certified me for 3 years. Down here, it's every 6 months, which is such a pain in the neck. It's just like, oh my God, I want to scream. Because then I got to go through papers. And I got to get everything together. And my printer now is like on its last leg, but after like 6, 7 years, I mean, it was a gift. And years ago, my son got it for me. It's finally, you know, kicking the bucket. So it's like, you know, you have to make photocopies of everything and make sure that you have stamps to send it back, because it is in a postage paid envelope. So yeah, there's that then too. You know, you got to make sure you have a couple of stamps or a book of stamps, whatever. It's just a pain in the butt. It's like, okay, you know, I can understand there's people my age working and everything, their income fluctuates greatly. But my income, let's see, I haven't got paid from YouTube since November. And I probably won't be until possibly March, at the rate my calculations have been. Highly doubtful. I don't think I'm going to be at the threshold come February. I mean, it would be nice if I was, but I don't think I'm going to be quite there yet. So I want to say probably March, the end of March. So, I mean, if your income is like the same for 6 months, and at the rate like my earnings are with YouTube, really, things aren't going to change by that much. Me earning $100, maybe $105 every 4 months. So, I mean, it's just like, oh, really? I hate the every 6 month recertification. Thank God you don't have to do that for your medical, but with the food stamps, yeah. And I just hate it because of all the paperwork involved and trying to flatten everything and cram it into a darn envelope and hoping I have a stamp to put on it or two to make sure, you know, you have it to send back, which is why I got in the habit every so often to buy in a book of stamps, because you never know for paperwork for someplace, you know, you might need it. So that, and, you know, the whole thing with the mail versus a computerized system is a big con for me. I really can't think of any other things that would be like a negative. Well, I mean, there is something I noticed down here more so, and it's really prevalent versus Pennsylvania. It's a con. It's not one that affects me per se, but is something I see a lot, is that so many people are just careless with their dogs and cats. It's like, I don't know where the I swear I can't talk tonight, guys. I'm not tired. I don't know. I've had more than enough coffee. My tongue just don't want to work with my brain tonight. I apologize. There's this mentality that for whatever reason, people think their animals are okay when they just let them, you know, run around their property and this and that, not realizing dogs can chase after cars. Dogs can wind up on other people's property. Dogs can get into fight with other dogs. Leaving cats out. The other night coming home, we seen 3 kittens and their mother. We knew whose cat it was, and we didn't know she had kittens. And it's like, why would you leave your cat out? There is dogs all over this property. What the hell is the matter with you people? Like, I don't understand the mindset of a lot of people down here and how they take care of their animals versus, you know, like people that I've seen and people that I know back in PA. Down here, people are like so much more careless. They leave animals tied up in the yard. They're not like actual pets, you know, that you bring in, you know, that actually is indoors. They leave them run all over, run up and down the road. People abandon their animals. It's bad down here. It really is. I don't understand the thinking, the mindset behind all of that. So that is a big con for me, because I swear I would love to just like slap the hell out of somebody if I ever seen someone doing that and be like, what the hell is your problem? Like, what is wrong with your mind, person? You know, like, oh gosh. Yeah, that's a big con with me. But like I said, it doesn't per se affect me personally. But it's still something that is irritating because I hear about it, I see it, I know it goes on, and yeah, it's a big problem down here. Hence why so many of the shelters are just full. You know, like, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is. I really, truly, I just don't know. I really don't. And I genuinely, you know, even like with a piece of paper when I was writing things out for myself, I really couldn't think of anything else as a negative. As a, you know, like a, oh, you know, this is bad. Oh, okay. I wouldn't consider this a negative per se or a con. It is tied in with my medical. It's just that the medical here is a little bit different than, you know, how it was in Pennsylvania for me. And by no means am I complaining. I am just saying it is, you know, a little bit different. I want to say each month I have noticed since last year, by a little bit, not by much, but over time it added up, that my prescriptions, you know, go up just at least a little bit, maybe like 10 cents higher for this one, 20 cents higher for that one. So where all my scripts last year I was paying like $6 and something for, beginning of this year I'm paying almost 11 for. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, back in PA, I had a strict dollar for most of my meds. If it was a controlled substance, it was, I think, maybe $2. So it is, you know, a little bit different with that. The pharmacy I deal with, even though I am a little bit out of their way, they are nice enough to actually deliver my scripts for me. I think it's more, you know, because of my age, that they do it as a courtesy, and I really, really appreciate that. When I was in Jim Thorpe, I could tell you the Mauch Chunk Pharmacy flat out refused to deliver them where we were at. And if nobody was around for days with a car, I was screwed. I really had no way to get anywhere or get my meds. So, at least, you know, down here, you know, a small family pharmacy was willing to, you know, I'm like, I want to say 2-3 miles out of their way, but they're nice enough to make that exception and do it for me. Um, so I am very appreciative of that. I really am. That's a pro. Back in PA, they were sticklers for, no, you're too far away and that's it. Which can put people sometimes in a heck of a darn bind, really. But, hey, they look at it like it's not their problem, and that is true. So, yeah, I really can't think of anything, negative, to really say. I mean, it has been a positive experience for me, being down here. I have absolutely no regrets of leaving Pennsylvania. Sure, I miss a few good friends. Sure, I miss my family. But all in all, I was never, like, fearful or nervous about coming here. It just felt like the right thing to do. The timing might have been off a little bit, but it just felt like the right thing to do for me, and everything has a funny way of working out. So yeah, definitely. There's so much more to see and do down here, I could probably spend a whole summer literally down the beach and still miss things, and have to do other things the following summer or something. Like, there's just there's so much more to, do than there ever was in Hazleton. I mean, Hazleton, they had gotten rid of First Night, they got rid of Fun Fest. The farmer's market was real small. That used to be a bigger event. That got cut down to size. Half the time the casino buses weren't running because there wasn't enough people. So a lot of things had changed in my hometown that, you didn't get to go to the places that you used to be able to go to. Things were changing, and COVID had a lot to do with that too, but I mean, my hometown, it just started deteriorating gradually. The YMCA shut down for lack of funding. I mean, it's bad when a YMCA that had been around for, like, my God, ages, had to shut down because of funding. That was, like, pretty sad. Yeah, but there's a lot of towns, all around the country that have deteriorated a lot, and things change a lot, No town or community is immune to it. What are you going to do? Unfortunately, it is life. So, I hope, I touched on a few things, giving you guys a little bit of insight into, some pros and cons of coming down south. As I said, I've never regretted that decision, and, I look forward to exploring a lot of things this summer, all kind of cool things down the beach to do. So definitely keep posted, guys, to my main channel, and stay posted to my vlog channel. Alrighty guys, if you like this video, give it please a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, please. I would like to have my vlog channel grow alongside my main channel. That would be really cool. That would be a nice goal in 2023 as well, to have my vlog channel grow enough that, you know, maybe by the end of 2023 I'd be able to get that monetized, and then I'm hoping to hit the 2,000 with my main channel. So yeah guys, if you're watching this and you are subscribed to my main channel, head on over here, you know, and please hit the subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell for all, so you're notified every time I upload a new video. So take care guys, have a good evening, and I will be seeing you all on my next one. Good night.